Hi, welcome to the Rerooted team. We're really excited to have you become a part of our archive process and especially for transcribing and translating our videos. So in this video, I want to just, give you a little bit more background about what your role is going to be, about our project, and then a lot focus on the exact details of how to use the Amara platform to transcribe and translate. So again, we are the Rerooted Syrian Armenian Archive project. So far we have over 150 testimonies of Syrian Armenians who are resettled mostly in Armenia but also all around the world, including France, Australia, Lebanon, the United States, a few other countries. And so we've collected these testimonies over the past 3 years, and we're working on building this digital archive as a place to preserve their stories. And with these stories, our aim is to use them to, one, capture a snapshot of this really strong diaspora community in Syria, including all of their customs, their language, how well they preserve their identity. Two, use the interviews for educational purposes about any topic ranging from the genocide to the understanding the Armenian diaspora better, understanding what it's like to be a minority in the Middle East, and then especially coming to the war in Syria today, how that's affected the Armenian community. And then similarly, we also want the interviews to be used for advocacy purposes, for advocating for justice for Syrian Armenians in Syria and wherever they may be right now, sort of advocating for better living situations for them, whether that's, how their new host country supports them or what other members of the diaspora can do to support our fellow Armenians. So the project can go in many directions, and we're really excited to see what the future has for it. But right now, what our main focus is just getting all of these interviews, as I mentioned, over 150, ready to go on the website. So this is the website as it is right now. We're always working on improving it. But sort of as you can see a little bit, just some of the names and pictures of the people we've interviewed are all on here, and if you click on someone, you can get a little more information about where they're from, where their ancestors came from, a quote, and then their video. And we're really working on getting everyone's video up on here. Right now, we maybe have about 20 to 30 ready, but just so many more that need to be done. And actually getting the interviews ready and having an Armenian and English and in the future other language transcript is so important, because one, it's like another way of preserving exactly what this person said in the interview by transcribing it in their native dialect of Western Armenian, and then two, by translating it into English and other future languages, just makes it more accessible to people who don't understand Armenian don't understand perfectly. So that's really where we're focusing on now, and it's super important to have you on board of this, because Armenian is, unfortunately, Western Armenian is an endangered language, and, you really are a special person. There's not many people left around the world who have as much skills as you do in Western Armenian, which is unfortunate, but that, makes us so happy to have you and get this work done of transcribing these interviews properly and accurately and usefully for us. So that's really amazing. I want to show you, so this is like the website. Eventually we're going to have every single interview on the website for each person. And I want to show you sort of like what the finished product of your work will be. I think that helps you understand each part as you go through it. There's sort of like three main ways that these like subtitles and transcripts will show up that you're working on. So the first one is just like a typical subtitle that appears under a video. So I'll press play.
Նույն բանն է, ասենք մեր կողի երկու անցի մեջ իշխում, պապաս հավաքերը ես պետք է միշակեմ եմ։
Yeah, so it's like what you see in the typical video. We have the subtitles right underneath. They would be in Armenian or English, based on who needs to see them. And then the second thing that is really cool and really special is that we want to have these, what they're called, interactive transcripts. So that's we see the full transcript of what is being said, and we can sort of skim through it and look for like a topic that's interesting to us, or like a question. Oh, I want to hear about this. And then it'll go right to that part in the video and you can start playing. which is really cool. You can, and then this is the same, it'll be in English. You can also search, so let's say we want to say like Aleppo, how many, like where is that mentioned? And it'll go and search for us all these instances, and like, oh, okay, so let me hear what she said. And then it'll bring us to that section, and we can listen to her. Yeah. And so these interactive transcripts are, I think the most easy way to watch a longer video like this, because most people probably aren't going to sit down and watch a full 26-minute, some of them are up to like 2-3 hours interview, but you can sort of like scroll through. I think this is the best of both worlds. You can scroll through, you can see what you want to listen to, click it, and then actually get to hear that person saying it. We will also sort of just download a plain version of the transcript, just as a PDF. Again, this is another way someone can skim through it without having to listen, but it doesn't give you the beauty of then getting to like actually hear that person in their own words say the sentences. But I think all three of these methods have their pluses and minuses, and benefit for different kinds of people, whether they're students, lawyers, activists, researchers, just an average person. Each type can be helpful for different people. So that's sort of the goal of what your work will lead to. And so now we'll go into how that is actually done. So yeah, we use this website called Amara. We really love Amara. We've tried a bunch of different systems to figure out how to best get these transcripts and translations done, and Amara is really amazing. It's actually a nonprofit itself. Their goal is to make videos available in different languages with more subtitles more easily, and so they have this free workspace to start subtitling and translating all different videos, which is super amazing. All right, so now we're going to go into like the step-by-step what to do. When you go to Amara, you probably don't have an account. So what you will do is you're going to click up here, the sign up button. And so just make a username, email, and password. It's super easy to sign up. The only thing that's really important is once you sign up, you're going to get a confirmation email, which looks like this. And just make sure you click the link to confirm your email. Otherwise, things are going to get messed up for you in the future. We're going to have emailed you a link to a video, and then it's going to bring you to a page that looks like this. So the first step is over here to click set up your languages to start subtitling. This is only going to come up the very first time you do anything. So you put in your languages, which, mainly for everyone is going to be English and Armenian. If you know other languages, like feel free to add them, but it doesn't actually make a big deal. Set your languages. Okay, so now we're going to click the same button again, which is change to add or edit subtitles. All right, so almost all the videos you'll be working on are in Armenian. So the language is in Armenian, and the first thing we're going to do is going to subtitle it into Armenian. So we're going to put Armenian, and you press add. So now we're here in the Amara platform. So they do have a little tutorial to walk you through, but since I'm walking you through it, we'll just sort of exit out of here. And so I'm actually going to show you a video that's already been worked on a little bit, because I think it's easier to sort of see what's happening. Okay, so this is one that's already been worked on. So the main place where you'll really be working is typing here in this middle section, each line of the transcript. So as you can see, it's sort of scrolling through. So each line should be pretty short, because you're imagining it as a subtitle underneath the video. If it gets too long, like you'll see, for example, you get these little exclamation points, and that's Amara's way of telling you this is too long. Don't really worry about that. I would just say, just try to keep it to stay on one line. If it goes on to like 2 lines here, that's okay, but it's not ideal. So this is actually a really great example of that. So the other thing what you'll do is up here, you can start the video. So that's where you're listening up here. So you type your sentence, and then you just press enter. And then you type, and then you press enter. And then you type, and then you press enter. It's pretty simple. There's some other shortcuts up here, because you're going to want to stop and start the video as you're, typing. So you can press tab, for example, to start it. Okay, here are the words that you want to type. Mahasadzam yes bizdigai. And then you press tab again to pause it, and then tab again. For example, just these are the little shortcuts to help you stop and start the video to keep going. The other little thing you'll notice is that these little paragraph marks, they're really helpful. You should click it. So here you can click and unclick it. Click it every time a new question or a new answer starts. And that's just something to sort of keep in mind in the back of your head to do that. So that you're making breaks in between the questions and the answers. And that's so as we saw in the transcript version, then it's not just one big blob of all the lines. That can just break it up a little bit between question and answer. Really helpful. The other thing, because it will be turned into both a subtitle and a transcript, it's really important to put punctuation. When people speak, like how I'm doing right now, it's just kind of these long run-on sentences, but we want it to be turned into a transcript. So it's really important to add punctuation. So you can do commas after, shorter phrases or thoughts, and then adding your periods after fuller thoughts and sentences. Really makes a big deal. So make sure you're punctuating as it makes sense to you. The other thing that is overall about the Armenian that is so important is that you are transcribing everything you hear in the video. So we've already gone through and edited out any sections that we don't want in the video, like distractions or interruptions. So whatever's there, we want to be preserved for the historical record. So that means even if someone is using words like gor, or they mix a lot of Turkish words, or they say something that's grammatically incorrect, still write it the way that they said it, because that's preserving the record of what was said in that interview, and also for linguistic purposes, preserves exactly how that person talks, whether that's their individual dialect or mannerism, or maybe it's some sort of local dialect, or a pattern from a certain place where they're from. It's really important for us to preserve that and not kind of wash it away. So when you're doing these transcripts, you're really, as much as you can, writing every single thing down. And for that reason, if there is a word said in French or Arabic or, English, based on where this interview takes place, there's also a little box where you can put comments. So that's really helpful. For example, here, I'm not sure if she said Merkür or name. Sometimes a little thing is jumbled. It's really good is if, either if you have a question for us or if you want to make a comment that you happen to know one of these Turkish or Arabic words, what it means, and you think it'll be helpful for us to know, put that comment, or if you have a question, put the comment. And so you can write a general comment, or if you want to tag a comment directly to one of the lines. So you're going to press the little wrench and then the time button, and then it's going to add the time code there for you to ask your question. I am not sure what she is saying. That's fine. Obviously you're not gonna be able to do everything, totally fine. So please leave comments as you see them. The other thing is that we are having people review this work so that we, make sure it's most as accurate as possible. But at the same time, please do review your work at least once before you submit it to us. Just so we have the best reflection of your actual work and your skills. I make it in English, my native language. I'm always making spelling mistakes and other little errors. So I know that, I need to review my work for it to, accurately reflect my skills. So please do review your work. And once we do our review of it, we'll give you feedback too. If there's one word that you happen to keep misspelling or some small little errors, we'll let you know so that for the next time you can fix those mistakes, and keep improving your skills. Last thing, press save draft as much as you can. That's the key with everything, but Amara is a web-based platform, which means if you have a problem with your Wi-Fi, with your computer, and you haven't pressed saved, you're going to lose your work. So just save. If you happen to, you have really spotty Wi-Fi, that's a reason to press save even more. We've also have people who have worked in a Word document and then copy over line by line here just because they feel more comfortable working in the Word document first. That's fine. I really like Amara and just working right on it, but it's up to you, whatever you find to be easier. Okay, great. So once you first do all your video, you're going to have so many lines like this, and we're all done. We've reviewed it. It looks great. We've added our punctuation. We've put the paragraph signs. Then we're going to press yes, start syncing over here. So now the next phase is adding these little time codes to each line. And that's what makes it possible for them to become subtitles, for them to become that interactive transcript. Really important. So yes, start syncing. And Amara, another reason why I love it is that it makes this process so much easier than any other program I've used. And we've really tried a lot in figuring this out. And this is just by far like the easiest for the person to use and creates the best product out of that. So really, like in the most basic version, you're just going to press play again on the video and then press the down arrow every time you hear a new line starting. And then that is going to automatically put the time that you heard that into this line, sort of like coded in there. Okay, so I'm going to show you a little example of how to do the timing. So all you have to do is press the down arrow on your keyboard, and I'll try to say down every time I'm pressing it. So here we go. We're going to start at the beginning. Down. 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 Yeah, down. So as you can see, like it when there's like things that are more spaced out, it's pretty easy. Like as soon as you hear that word, you press down. When things get a little more jumbled, like just do the best you can. The other thing that you can do is like once you've done pressing down, up here in this bar, you can like go back and sort of listen and adjust. So let's see. Okay, so that was pretty good actually. So you can make those little adjustments up here if you've messed something up. The other thing, if there is like a long break between a subtitle, for example, you press down and then you press up to end the subtitle. So down and then up. So it gives you a break down, up. That doesn't really happen that often. Usually the interview, usually everything's like really back to back. So really you mainly just need to be pressing down. So you're rewatching the video and then just pressing down every time you hear a line start. In the beginning it might feel a little tedious before you get the hang of it, but Amara really is like the best out there, that all you have to do is press this one button and your timing lines up and the next one automatically starts. And then you still have that tab button that can like start and stop the video. So if you get a little stuck, you just like stop it, fix your issue, and move forward. It's also another chance to check your Armenian if you missed something, made a mistake, you're reading through it. So that's that part. And again, it's so important that it actually makes these transcripts and these subtitles so versatile for whatever format we want to put them in. It's really, really amazing. All right, so once you've done all your Armenian, all your syncing, you're back to sort of the main page of the video, and now we're going to add a new translation of those Armenian subtitles into English. And doing it in this order is actually very important, that you do the initial language that the video is in first, because that's like preserving exactly what it said for the record, and then from that you're making translations. If you make translations sort of like from what you hear and then go back and do the original, it just can get kind of sloppy and messy. And we really are preserving this for an historic linguistic purpose, so it's important that we go in this order. What some people do is that, they'll do some Armenian, then they'll sync it, and then they'll do the rest of the Armenian and sync it. It's okay to sort of take your turn between those two steps, but I would get all your Armenian and your syncing done, and then come to this next step, which is starting your English. So we're back on this main page of the video, and then we're going to go here again to the Add and Edit Subtitles button. So already we have Armenian, and now they're saying Add New Subtitles. So we're going to do it into English. Great, and then we press Add. Okay, so now it's bringing us back into the subtitle editor, where you are already pros. You're like amazing at this, because you've already done all your Armenian, you've already added your paragraph signs, you've added your time codes, you've set up all the lines well. And the amazing thing now is that for the English, you just have to worry about the text. You've already dealt with like all those other extra steps. And so what should happen automatically is amazing, is that it will already keep your time codes and your paragraph markers from your Armenian. So that work is done for you. You don't have to worry about it again. If these things don't automatically show up for you, all you have to do is up here at this time thing, you'll press copy timing. And then that's the same thing. So it's going to make copy everything over from your Armenian. And so now it's just really set you up to do your English well and easily. So in the same line across from where you're Armenian, type exactly what the English correspondence of that line is. So we would say, do you know which village, oh my god, I can't type, or city in Turkey that your family came from before the genocide? Okay, so a few things about the English. So one, keep trying to break it up as much as you can as how the Armenian was broken up. Sometimes because of how, obviously English and Armenian have very different orders and sentence structures and things. So, it's not the same as, word for word is what you told you for the Armenian. For English, you're really going for flow, making it sound natural. Of course, we don't want to lose any of the meaning from the Armenian, but we're going for, making this make sense in English. And so sometimes, this sounds a little awkward. So sometimes you might have to switch a word or two between lines. But, in general, try to make the line on this side of the Armenian mean the line on this side of the English. But it's okay. Sometimes you will have to, switch that around a little bit just to make it sound normal. And you'll have to obviously switch words around within each line to make it sound normal in English and not, weird translated Yoda, whatever. So that's with the English, just really going for something that sounds right. But again, you do want to be using your punctuation, so adding in commas after shorter phrases and periods at the end of things that would make sense as sentences. So let me go and show you another video that's a little more done in both languages. So now this is an example of this one has the Armenian. It has the English, it has the time codes, it has the paragraph markers. This is what your finished product will look like. And then from this is what I was showing you, where then we can use it as subtitles, then we can use it as the interactive transcript, then we can use it as printed as a PDF transcript. It really can do so much, which is what is so amazing about it. There's one other little thing I want to point out. So in some interviews when we were in Armenia, sometimes we would ask the questions ourselves in Armenian. My Armenian's pretty broken, if you heard that little bit. So that's why we did try to have a translator with us, just to make sure there was no miscommunications. So for example, in this interview, the question was first asked in English by Anush and then translated into Armenian. And so how those should work is that in the Armenian version, when you hear the English question, you'll translate that into Armenian. And then you're going to hear it being said in Armenian, and you've transcribed the Armenian. And then it's going to be the opposite for English. So for English, you heard exactly what you just heard as the question, and then you're going to translate how the person said it in Armenian. So it's going to look like you have the same question twice, but it's just good to preserve if there was anything changed between the two questions, how that might affect how the person answered. So in this case, they look almost exactly the same. It's just family versus ancestors, and that doesn't really make a difference, but just record it that way. Have it twice. It looks maybe it looks a little silly, but it's okay. It's just important to have it like that. And other ones, it will just be one person asking the question, maybe me, maybe in my little weird Armenian. And for me, if I do say something incorrect, you can correct it for clarity's sake. We don't really need to preserve how I speak, although that would be interesting for a whole other study about Armenian Americans and how butchered our Armenian is, or at least for me. Okay, so this is sort of the final version. The one other thing I want to show you is obviously you're not going to get the whole video done in one setting. So I just want to show you how to sort of navigate when you come back to the link of the video. So as soon as you exit, you're sort of in the English subtitle page, and then you can press edit again to get you back into the editor. And then if you want to go back to the video page, you'll press return to video. And we're here on that main video page, and then here's when you can say, oh, actually now I want to go back and fix my Armenian. I noticed a mistake. So you press Armenian, that takes you to this little Armenian page, and then you go in again to press edit subtitles. It's pretty straightforward, but once you're in here, and let's say I'm editing the Armenian, I can choose over here to look at the English, the corresponding English, but I can't actually edit this English. So if I wanted to go fix that English, I'd press exit, return to video, English, edit subtitles, to get back and forth between the two. The other thing I want to let you know, so if at any point like you have trouble with this, we are always here as a resource. Like, we've been using this a little more. We've sort of troubleshooted with other people what's going on. So just like reach out to us if you're like, hey, this is giving me trouble. I can't like sync correctly, or I'm just having trouble. Just please let us know and we'll try to figure it out. So Amara has this really great support center for whatever issues you're facing. So under solutions, there's a bunch of like videos and sort of like step-by-step guides of how to do things. So for example, if I like want to figure out how to sync, I can type that in. It's how to sync subtitles. Because, maybe you're more like a visual learner and you just like how clear they've stated it all out here. And then they also have a video of how to do it. So that's great. Or if you go to forums, this is kind of more nitty gritty of people talking about like every possible way of what to do with this. Honestly, like if you don't need to waste your time going through this, just reach out to us and we'll look through things. If it's not a problem, we don't immediately know. But just so you know, that's a resource for you. But please just definitely talk to us if you're having any trouble. But hopefully it should be a straightforward process. And along with this, we're sending you sort of our little guide summarizing everything I just talked about. But obviously, instead of having to like search through this video again, it's just written out for you, a better resource to go back to. At the end, one interesting thing is we do also have a list of like how we're spelling certain names or places in Syria and Armenia. Just, if you're like, how are they spelling, I don't know, zaytun, you can go look it up. So that's sort of everything. As I said, again, we were really like so fortunate to have you as part of our team, some little pictures of the people involved. And we're here for any questions. Like, please reach out at any time. Anoush is in law school and I work, so like we may not get back to you right away. And also, if you're in Armenia or somewhere else, the time zones might be a little off. But like, please just send us any and all of your questions and we'll get back to you like as soon as we can. Your work is so important to us and is like at the core of growing this project and finally letting us move forward with all these amazing interviews we have. And also, while you're doing this work, like you get to listen to the interviews and learn from our narrators, and I think it's a really enriching experience. And you are like saving the Western Armenian language, which is something to be really, really proud about. Again, so thank you so much, and we will be in touch.